started. It's been a big day. Every day is so crammed with, I have some, I'm plugged in. I'll start even though not everybody is here. The book, as you know, was supposed to arrive on Monday, and I planned on going through the book with you rather than the PowerPoint, or rather than our website information. But I think actually when I get to the book, the images will be more dramatic and interesting than if we were going through the book. So we are behind the time, but I do want to mention that I'm very happy to see the new textbooks that have come out by the leading publishers. And Jenny, if you just want to skim through the images, that after this week, if you were a 7th grade middle school teacher, any one of you would be able to teach what's in the textbooks right now. So you are really prepared, and you will be messengers and so knowledgeable about Korea. And you can all look at the book when you get it, but I do want to highlight some things, and I don't want you to miss certain sections, such as the last section of the book is called Resources. Anyway, this is what's in the books now, and I'm very encouraged that I have lessons that completely meet with the California History, Social Science, and framework. So those of you that teach history, others of you, I hope, will get idea for strategies in whatever it is that you do teach, that you can get some ideas and think, oh, I can do that in my math class, or I can do that in my literature, English, language arts classes. So I hope you get lots of ideas in the course of the week. So
we're on this page because we're going to go through Teaching East Asia Korea book. Since we don't have the hard copies, this is how you can access the ebook. You can go to our website. We have on the very front page here, there's a link here, or if you're using like a mobile device, you should see the drop-down menu and you see Teaching East Asia Korea, the 3rd edition. So if you click the link, this pops up. So Mary's going to use her hard copy while I will go through the pages to show you what Mary's looking at. So Mary, what's our first page?
Okay, they all have this outline.
Yes, and you should have gotten a handout distributed just now, a list of the pages and what that page, the content is.
So you can't possibly remember all of the things that I'm telling you, and my book is about 300 pages, and I have about 10 minutes to do this. So I would have to go really fast. But first of all, I'm very happy with the reviews. We've gotten some excellent national reviews from Columbia, UCLA, USC, principal of a Korean language schools and so forth. But people are very excited about it. And I don't think there's the equivalent for China-Japan. China-Japan, as you know, usually gets taught, and Korea gets left out. And it used to be the only thing in the history books was the Korean War. Now there's so much more, which is very exciting to all of us. But there's the reviews. And would you go to the contents page? And if you would all take a look at the screen, we're going to go through this fast, but this tells you all the different chapters. There's the history chapter, there's a language chapter, Korean literature chapter, Korean art for all grades, music, religion and philosophy, science and technology, Korean American history, chapter on tourism, and the last chapter, I hope you will go to that and give it a thorough look. There's a short list of recommended books, a wonderful summary of Korean history, a review of my book, a lesson, Asian culture in the classroom. If you're doing cultural studies or you're teaching, say you're a history teacher of ancient history, in the 6th and 7th grade, you can get ideas from this book of how to make history, ancient history, more interesting. And I have ideas in the book to help with that. Information on films and etiquette. If you have lots of Korean kids, it's important to know more about the etiquette. For instance, one of the worst things you could do is to blow your nose in company. You might not know that, but that's just a real no-no in the Korean culture. Another thing that's helpful in reading this is gifts. Koreans are great about giving gifts, and you can feel comfortable about it or uncomfortable about it. And I have suggestions in the etiquette section on how to deal with that. Another thing is do not assume that Susie Kim's mother's name is that she's Mrs. Kim. Her name may be her birth name. So it gives you all kinds of good advice. So do look at that section. So anyway, I've given you an idea of the chapters. And the first chapter, History, Social Science, I have something for all of you, no matter what you teach, whether you're a classroom teacher, a counselor, a principal, whatever it may be, there's information in this book so you can bring Korean into the classroom. So that's the first part. Where there's a big change is for 7th grade history teachers, and I know there's a couple of you that teach middle school history. And one of the lessons that I hope you will look at, it's page 20, 23, Shilla, Korea, and the Silk Road PowerPoint. I developed the PowerPoint and the Korea Society added to it. But I think the Korea Society version would be the best for 7th grade in terms of the visuals. And also within the book are ways of talking about ancient Korea and additional lessons for art classes, for independent study or projects for students. The Silk Road, if you could get to, not the book, but I guess you can't switch to the PowerPoint with the Korea Society. But anyway, there's instructions how to go about it, and one of the neat things is that during the Shilla, Korea was part of the Silk Road, but all the maps just have the Silk Road leading from Xi'an, China, to the rest of, to Europe and to the Middle East. And this is a lesson that shows that Korea was an integral part of the Silk Road, but also the visuals are beautiful art options from all over Asia and Europe were in Korean tombs. The other part that's so relevant, the world is changing so fast. The globe is, the world, the earth is so small. And the Silk Road time was a change. It was a great change where there was global connections in a major way on the Silk Road. So students can talk about what the adjustments were on the Silk Road, what were the benefits of this trade along the Silk Road, and then have discussions about the benefits and the challenges of globalization today. So then let's see, that's page 39 to 44. There's images here that relates to an assignment that deals with early Korea that ancient history teachers could use, and it has explanations, and now there's so much information on the internet that students could do independent projects. Page 45 is next. There's a lesson on 4 famous Koreans, and I've written it in the first person, and when I've had kids take the roles of famous people, the kids really listen. And move it forward to the images, if you will. Takes a while. All right, go back one page, if you will. Queen Sandak speaks in the first person. She was one of Korea's greatest queens. Can you make it smaller? Yeah, and then King Sejong, as you've heard about, Korea's most highly respected king. Next page. All in first person. Admiral Yi was a great hero. There was another time when Japan warred on Korea, and he was a great hero. Yu Kwan-san was 16 years old and hated Japanese occupation, and she gave her life and died in a Japanese prison. Really inspiring. I got so caught up with some studying and researching you people, but having your students, whatever you teach, speak in the first person if they're somebody famous or important to know about. Page 51 and 53 is a values lesson, and make it small enough so they can see it all. What's on our money? What kind of people are on American money? Presidents, military people, right? What's on Korean currency are scholars. That is a message. All of these people, the next page, were scholars. So that would be an interesting project to get the kids involved in different countries, not just Korea. And here's a values lesson plan, an opportunity to do math. So if you're a math teacher, you could introduce what it would cost to go on a trip to Korea and convert it from the Korean currency to American currency, so there would be a possibility to do math. And then world history teachers, if you would skim to page 71 to 75, this is about the Japanese occupation of Japan, and I created a advanced placement PowerPoint lecture, but if you're a teacher and teaches late 19th century, early 20th century history, it may be possible to introduce this lesson. If you make an image, all of it smaller if you can. Flip the pages. And I want them to, there's Yukon Sun, and go to the last page. That is a statue outside of the Glendale, California library. And the Koreans got together and created the Comfort Women. You heard about that in the lecture, I'm sure, about women that were sex slaves to the Japanese armies. And it is a memorial to the Comfort Women. And the Japanese were there used to be a student exchange between Japan and the Glendale School District. But once the statue went up, that exchange ended because the feelings were so strong. Page 89 to 72, we're not going to have much time to go through this, is a lesson plan. The previous Council General created a lesson, Economic and Political Development of Korea. Korea was leveled in 1953. There was no hope for Korea. Korea was a third world country. All of the cities in North Korea were leveled, one of the reasons why Kim Jong-un wants to build up and has built up the nuclear defense system. But it's an excellent lesson for economics and government classes. Also, it shows the importance of education, that Korea went from being completely leveled in '53 to being a highly sophisticated, successful economy and quickly developed democracy after a period of time. Page 101 and 103, and you have this on the outline that you were given this morning. It's History Today. The San Marino outstanding history teacher developed this lesson. Kids listen to the past all year long, and he has students do independent projects to present in the class on issues and people that relate to today. And then Sun Kim's chapter on the Korean language gives historical background and charts, and I don't think you can go that fast, Jenny, but maybe you can. The literature chapters from 127 to 170 pages. I have information on 12 books and how, for different grade levels, that you can bring into your classroom. And ordering books on Amazon, used copies, a lot of the used copies look perfectly good. One or two of the copies that I bought for door prizes, I brought from Amazon for virtually no money whatsoever, so that offers possibilities, but they're lessons for all grade levels. And then the art chapter, pages 173, deals with ancient and contemporary art, and I know there's no one looking at the roster that teaches art on the middle school or high school level, but there's lessons, go back a little bit. There's more information on folk art, which you did yesterday, and it's at different grade levels, from really little kids all the way up to advanced placement art history students. And here's a lesson. Thomas Cole was the greatest landscape artist in the United States, and he started the first landscape school. And this is one of you can't see it very well, it's a beautiful painting by one of the leading Korean landscape artists. And we were inspired by the landscape artists in the 1840s, 1830s, because we were developing industrialization and it was changing the environment. So Americans looked at landscape art as something that was destroying nature, as opposed to the Koreans were influenced by Taoism, and it's being in harmony with nature. So it's learning about the culture as well as the art. And then moving on to the music chapter, it has the Ariane score, information on Korean pop, it's a lesson. And also for any of you that teach music or drama, there's musical scores that are available to you, plays, all the information, all the script of the plays, and the author of the book will give you the musical scores if you want to do them based on traditional stories in Korea. In the religion and philosophy chapter 221 to 234, there's a lesson on Buddhism for middle school that would work for teachers in 6th and 7th grade possibly, and also the role of Christianity in Korea and here. And science teachers, I think there's some science teachers here. There's Korean websites that Jennifer John Kim gave to me that includes scientific discovery, and it's titled, I guess it's the science and technology of the past and the present. So that's a possibility for science teachers. There's a chapter on tourism, which could be something that you adapted for possibly geography classes. So that's it. I don't know how long I taught, but that's the best I could do, 300 pages. Anyway, I hope it's helpful not only for knowledge, and some of you, for instance, don't teach art, but you might want to read more about the art. One of the art projects that's in this book, one of the teachers from Wisconsin was so inspired by this Korean artist that had a big exhibit at LACMA, and it was called Happy Happy, and I have an image of it. She got so inspired that her school project for the whole year was to recreate Happy Happy, this beautiful, cheerful artwork, and they put it up in the front lobby of the school. So there's all kinds of potential for all kinds of teachers, no matter who you are. But I'm sure you're having a really good week, and I recently had surgery, so I am in the recovery mode and just don't have the stamina to come every day. I'd love to be with all of you at the Buddhist temple tomorrow. For some people, it's challenging to be in a Buddhist temple. Some people feel that you're being unfaithful to your particular religion. It's a cultural experience. We're not trying to make you Buddhist. We're just trying to make you aware Buddhism came to Korea 2,500 years ago. So obviously it's a major player, and there's so much in literature and poetry, and you're going to hear about one of the Sijō poetry in the near future. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It was hard for you.
Thank you, Mary. And one other thing, you should have a thumb drive on where you're sitting, and that contains PowerPoint files. I think over 40 PowerPoint files. And on our website, under this menu, there's a list of PowerPoint lectures and their titles. So we have some of them uploaded online, and these are also in your thumb drives. So these are from Mary and Son.
And the list of PowerPoints, I think, did you say 25? For
Yes,
everybody. There's kite projects. I don't know, we don't have time to show about kites, but there's so many ideas. So you really have all the opportunities for lessons and PowerPoints when you go back to your school. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, Dr. Lucy Park is the executive director and one of the founding members of the Sejong Cultural Society, a non-profit organization based in Chicago since 2003. The Sejong Cultural Society is dedicated to advancing awareness and understanding of Korea's cultural heritage amongst the people in the United States by reaching out to the younger generations through contemporary creative and fine arts. Main programs of the Sejong Cultural Society are music competition, writing competition, music composition and competition, and Sijō, Korean poetry writing workshops for educators.
안녕하세요. 저기 previous speaker speaker took my remote clicker, so can you ask, what was his name? Mr. Cody? Yeah. So if I can get it back. So meantime, remote clicker, my clicker. This is not. Okay, thank you. Excuse for me. Okay. So before I start, there is a Korean alphabet sticker for your computer. So Song Kim has a number of this. So if you are Korean learner, please ask her to begin. And I can mail more from Chicago. This is from Chicago. You have, did you pick up the handout? So this handout, I asked my brother-in-law to help me, and then some has all the information, some do not. So it's 4 pages. So page 3 has this one. If you don't have it, raise your hand. Kevin has it. The last page is a worksheet. She's a worksheet. Kevin has it. And even if you have it, if you have extra, that will be helpful because I'm going to ask you to write shijo. And this worksheet may help you. And then if you are going to teach shijo to your student, maybe this is what you can use. So I'm the executive director of Sejong Cultural Society. It is a non-profit organization based in Chicago.